Hey guys, and welcome! Today I'm not directly talking about Battlefield, but about a game that is a love letter to the franchise on one hand and a serious competitor with massive potential on the other hand. And the game I'm talking about is BattleBit Remastered. BattleBit is a first-person shooter in low-poly style that reminds me a bit of Minecraft, but with massive battlefields and a variety of guns and vehicles. It was developed by a small team of only 3 people, and even though the graphic style might not be everyone's favorite, I think that especially for small indie developers, it makes things a bit easier in terms of animations and gameplay mechanics. But it also means that the game is accessible for more players since the PC requirements are pretty low. For me, as a fan of low-poly games in general, I love this style, and it's also a nice change to the usual attempt on photorealistic graphics that most shooters have. But don't let that simple look fool you. BattleBit has a lot to offer in terms of gunplay, gameplay mechanics and UI that even AAA titles struggle to deliver. What's pretty obvious right from the start is that the game was inspired by the Battlefield franchise. Especially as an active player of Battlefield 3 and 4, you will quickly be familiar with the game and also the UI elements. And everything is well structured and you will find everything you need. There are casual or hardcore matches available, a shooting range where you can try out all weapons, attachments and gadgets, there's a server browser with which you can find the perfect matches for you with games of up to 128 players that work pretty well by the way, but there are also the usual 32 and 64 player modes available. If you want, you can create or join a clan and customize your settings for your playstyle with loads of different options. In addition to this, you can also customize your soldier with different headgear, boots and so on, but nothing too crazy, everything still keeps a military style. And of course, you can customize your weapons. And especially the weapon customization is really impressive and actually reminds me on a hardcore shooter. For each available weapon, there are a lot of attachments for barrel, underbarrel, magazine, optics and so on, and all of them come with a very extensive set of stats that you can compare to each other. You can always check how your recoil, accuracy, fire rate and so on changes with the chosen attachments, and in addition there's even a damage curve available that gives you a preview of the effect the changes would have. Then there's also several gadgets available like the Claymore, C4 or the Soflam that are already well known from other shooter titles. Also well known are the available modes with Conquest, Rush, Team Deathmatch, Frontlines and more that can be played on a variety of maps with different designs, from close quarter action where you have to peek around every corner to check for enemies, to wide sandbox maps that you can explore with a number of vehicles from jeeps to heavy tanks. At the end of each match, players can vote for the mode they want to play and for the map, and also if they want to play the map in day or night mode. And that's actually pretty cool cause it adds something special to each match, more variety to the maps and makes them even more interesting. Cause in night mode you either have to use the night vision or use a flashlight on your weapon. So when playing the game, it gave me the feeling of being somewhere between Battlefield 4 and a hardcore shooter like Squad. And that's not only in terms of time to kill, but also because of the gameplay mechanics. For example, if you are wounded, you have a short time to bandage yourself, otherwise you will bleed out and die. But you can also be bandaged by others or help them to survive longer. And when you die, you can be revived by each of your teammates and not only your squad mates or a medic. But what really made me laugh when playing the game for the first time was the drag mechanic. When a teammate is downed, you can drag them to another location to revive them in a safe spot. This mechanic should have been in Battlefield 5 and was even announced at the reveal event back then, but at the end never made it to the game. Seeing this mechanic in another game now, and especially in an indie game, was just hilarious. And you can even grab dead enemies and drag them away to make it harder for their teammates to come for a revive. So just like this guy down the stairs is doing it with my teammate while I didn't even notice it. And that's just a few of the things BattleBit comes up with. The game also has 6 different classes like Assault, Medic, Engineer or Support that all have their unique tasks and access to different weapons. The medics, for example, have a med crate with which they can heal themselves and other teammates, the support has an ammo crate for resupplying, and the engineer can destroy and repair vehicles. So basically the same system we know from former Battlefield titles. And what should also be mentioned is the great gunplay. It feels responsive, the hit rate is on point, weapons have a good handling but are not too easy to control, the recoil is different for each weapon, there are different fire modes and ammo types, tactical reloads and much more. And the more you play, the more small details and mechanics you discover. And this is all made by a small team of only 3 developers that constantly work on the game. BattleBit was originally released in 2017 already, but now it is reworked, and that's why it also has the edition Remastered in the title. Unfortunately, the game hasn't started into early access yet, but there are regular playtests that you can take part in. The next one will start on February 20 and will end on February 23, so not very long, but still enough time to get some first impressions and have a lot of fun. In the last playtest about 2 weeks ago, there have been some problems with cheaters since the player base of the game was growing much faster than the devs had expected. But before the next playtest in February, they will implement an anti-cheat system, so this shouldn't be a problem anymore. If you want to try the game yourself, just head over to its Steam page and request access to the playtests. You will then be notified once you are accepted and the next playtest starts. And you also don't have to worry about the player base. For the last playtest in January, the player count had its peak at more than 7,500 concurrent players, which is more than a lot of other shooter games had at this time. And I'm pretty sure that there will be even more players participating in the next playtest since the game is picked up by a lot of bigger content creators now. And to be honest, I can totally understand it, cause you just can't ignore this game. BattleBit is one of the most well thought out games I've played in a long time, and especially in my first hours of playtime, it surprised me minute by minute. The last game I played that blew me away like this was Valheim, and that was almost a year ago, and this was also made by only 5 developers. So maybe now that so many AAA studios are struggling to deliver a decent gameplay experience, and especially with the weak performance of Battlefield 2042, of which BattleBit definitely benefits, maybe now is the time to pay even more attention to the small studios and developers and the games and experiences they create. And even though the graphics of BattleBit might not be very impressive, the immersion is still there. There's footsteps, there's explosions, there's weather effects, there's destruction, even complete houses collapse when they receive too much damage. And I'm very curious to see how the game will develop in the future, and I'm also pretty sure we will see many more surprises like this in the coming months and years. And that's it for today. I just wanted to give you a short overview of BattleBit Remastered for now, but I had so much fun during that playtest and can't wait for the next one, so there will definitely be more content to the game on this channel the further it is developed. And as always, tell me in the comments below what you think about the game so far, if you have played it already or not, and how your impressions are. And if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumb up and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.